It's Super Bowl week in New Orleans, and let's take it to Commissioner Roger Goodell's press conference.
That officiating has favored the Chiefs, not my perception, public perception. How much of a concern is that for you in the league?
Well, this sort of reminds me a little bit of the script, right? That I write a script, and I have the script for the entire season. Listen, I think from a lot of those theories are things that happen in social media, and they get a new life. As you say, it's not your theory, but it's out there. Nobody wants it to be their theory. And so I understand it. I think it reflects a lot of the fans' passion. And I think it also is a reminder for us how important officiating is. And I think the men and women that officiate in the NFL are outstanding. They have the highest possible standards. That's ridiculous theory for anyone who might take it seriously. But at the end of the day, it's something we always have to continue to work on. How do we make our officiating better at all times? And if you look at the Chiefs' record, which I think is an amazing thing, people talk about the competitiveness of our league. The Chiefs, with their 15 wins, 15-2 this year, 11 of those 15 games were within one score. And I think that talks about the competitiveness of our game and the importance of how we officiate it, but also the competitiveness of how we play it.
Let's go to Mark Mass.
Brian enjoys that. Roger, there's been a lot of public conversation since last spring about an 18-game season. Where are you right now in your conversations with the NFLPA on that? And how do you see that moving forward? And at what pace do you see that moving forward? When could you see that actually occurring?
Well, we haven't had any formal negotiating sessions about an extension. I'm certain it'll come up in the context of that in some fashion. It is something that Lloyd and I have had informal conversations about, but there's a lot of work to be done. We committed in 2011 when we signed a collective bargaining agreement that the players would not only have a say in that, but they would actually be able to prevent it from happening or support it from happening. We were able to do that when we moved to 17 games back in 20. And I think it's a large part because of the safety of our game, the advancements that we made in how we're training in the offseason, how we're training in the preseason, and trying to make that. And this year, the data on safety has been extraordinary. I think Jeff Miller went through that, and Alan Sills, our medical director, told you about it. The concussions are at a historically low level this year. We think that's a large result of the efforts that are being made, one, to improve equipment, but also the changes we make in the rules of the game, and also the way we train our players. So I think all of those are factors in how do we look at the offseason and how do we look at that with our partners, the players, and try to continue to make advancements in this case. And if we do, 18-2 might be a possibility, because we know that fans, I think, love football. They want more football, but we have to be incredibly sensitive and smart about the balance and how we deal with that. And I think that's something that I think we're all interested in focusing on, but it hasn't begun yet.
Quick follow-up. Do you have a deadline in mind that you would like to have that decision made?
No, I think, those things, Kurt, they come up in the context of the broader CBA issues. I don't think you isolate one of those issues over many others. It will be part of the formal discussions when we get there.
Let's go front row here.
Hi, Roger. Kurt. Just to follow up on Jason's question. I actually have two questions, but the follow-up...
We'll always have two questions, Jared.
Well, if you will indulge me. But to follow up on Jason's question about your DEI efforts, in light of Trump's White House and many companies in corporate America dismantling DEI, how has that made the NFL more steadfast? Have you had feedback from owners, corporate partners, other entities in terms of how the NFL addresses its DEI policies?
Well, I think I've said it before, Jared, but listen, we got into diversity efforts because we felt it was the right thing for the National Football League. And we're going to continue those efforts because we've not only convinced ourselves, I think we've proven ourselves that it does make the NFL better. So we're not in this because it's a trend to get in it or a trend to get out of it. Our efforts are fundamental in trying to attract the best possible talent into the National Football League, both on and off the field, as I said previously. And we see that. We see how it's benefited the National Football League. And so I think we'll continue those efforts. I think it's also clearly a reflection of our fan base and our communities and our players. And I think all of it is something, people talk a lot about the Rooney Rule. I don't know if that's your follow-up question. If it is, I'll stop and let you ask it.
No, keep going.
But the Rooney Rule for us is not, there's no requirement to hire a particular individual on basis of race or gender. It's simply on the basis of looking at a canvas of candidates that reflect our communities, and to look at the kind of talent that exists there, and then you make the best decision on who is hired. And so many of us, including the National Football League at our office, are doing that voluntarily at all levels because it has benefited us. And I hear that from companies on a global basis, is that that's a very strong hiring practice that we are adopting also.
Yeah, just to pivot back to the officiating and the question about the Chiefs and favoritism.
That wasn't your second question.
Yeah, no, that's but to that end,
right?
No, to that end, Roger, can you shed some light on the quality control measures within the officiating department, within the league, that really look at on a comprehensive basis if there is bias? Can you tell us a little bit about what happens behind the scenes to ensure?
Well, I can't tell you all the things that happen behind it, but I will tell you that our officials are evaluated in several ways. It's not just the performance on the field, but it's things that go on in their own lives. And we have a very tight controls over that. We monitor that very closely in a number of ways. And as I say, these officials are outstanding people, both men and women, and they go through a lot to become officials. It's a tough job, a really hard job that is, it's half the group sees it one way and half the group sees it the other way. And they understand that coming into it. But I've never seen a more dedicated group of people than our NFL officials to getting it right, to doing the best job they possibly can. And I'm proud of the work they do.
Is there any consideration of going to whether it's a Sky Judge or being more transparent so the viewers at home can understand a little bit better? Because that's where a lot of the conspiracy theories come from, for people not understanding or not seeing the process.
Well, I think, as you know, every network has so-called officiating experts that have been officials on our field. And I think they've been helpful in trying to explain those rules. And I think we have been more transparent now. When we make a mistake on the field, we say it. We're not afraid to do that, but there's so many times there's confusion or they don't understand the rule, and that includes people on television too, Kurt. Don't take it personally.
Not in the studio.
And I think that's something we continue to work on, to communicate better, educate better, but also to use technology. I think, this game has gotten so much faster. You're seeing so much than you did even 6 years ago. I challenge all of you, go back and look at an NFL game from the year 2000. The quality of what you see, the cameras, the angles, the number of cameras, you see an awful lot more. So we want to use technology to supplement and to assist and support the officials in getting it right. Replay assist this year, I think, was a big step forward for us. I see us in the future adding more plays, and we'll look at that with the competition committee. I think there are areas like face mask and some of the other areas that I think we could add to that and assist the officials in what's a very fast game. They don't have the benefit of going back and looking at replays from 16 different angles and the time and then the debate. They've got to make a snap decision. And so, I'm proud of what they do, but that doesn't mean we're not going to continue to try to get better.
That was just a small portion of Roger Goodell's annual Super Bowl press conference. The gentleman next to him was Kurt Menefee. Fox will have the Super Bowl this year. We will be in New Orleans this week leading up to the Super Bowl. It's on CBS Sports HQ, live from NOLA. It's all here and it's all free.